Hey folks, well lucky me, I wound up driving again, and I hope this new phone holder I got holds my phone so it doesn't drop on me while I'm trying to do this. Um, so look, yeah, I got a little bit of time between a job site and home, and can't work at the job site today. Got snow all over a roof, and I've been thinking a lot about these Marvel movies that they've been making, and they're weaving them all together. Now, for most of my life, I really liked movies. I liked movies a lot. I mean, I was nearly a cinemaphile, you know? I guess if that's what they call it. Cinemaphile? I don't know. I really liked movies though. And I liked music, and I was a musician for a long time before I'd really lost the passion for it when I saw what was going on within music. You know, when I saw how it had been weaponized and just that, you know, A440 megahertz tune, just all that. So anyways, the thing is, you know, these days, when I get done with a day's work and I've already studied in the morning for hours, I go to work, I deal with, you know, doing physical work, I deal with customers, some of them aren't so nice, and I'm ready to just, you know, really wind down. I like watching something. If there's any good YouTube videos that I can like watch instead of just listen to, I'll watch. But a lot of times it's movies too, and I do try to keep up with what they're putting out because, you know, once my eyes were open, I could see what Hollywood was doing, how it was using its movies as a vehicle to program people's minds. And then once I realized who was doing it, who we are, put two and two together, you know, and you get four. So Marvel, in conjunction with, I guess, Disney Studios, now there's a match made in the bowels of hell right there. They're producing all of these Marvel movies with these similar so-called superheroes. I mean, they did the X-Men movies, and they've done, I mean, goodness knows how many Spider-Man movies now, with how many Spider-Men, Iron Man, Thor, Guardians of the Galaxy. And so lately, of course, they've woven those since they started the Avengers movies. They're kind of weaving all of that more and more together. So the Avengers movies are kind of overlapping with like the Guardians of the Galaxies movies until, you know, I guess I would put the last three movies that were sort of weaving things together. The first Guardians of the Galaxy, I believe, what that character Thanos was in that, and I think the first Avengers movie, actually, it was Thanos who sent this attack on New York City. And there's always somebody attacking New York City because, well, of course. And I'm not even going to comment on just why, whatever. I think a lot of you can get where I'm going with that. Always the victim, right? So, and then they just, this builds in this Thanos character. They really kind of set things up for this last Avengers movie, Infinity War, in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and Thor Ragnarok. And the thing is, a lot of these movies I can usually watch and then just take notes on what they're pushing. And, usually they're pushing kind of the same old thing, the forced acceptance of, mixing races, amalgamating races. They just want to force that down our throats, but they don't have to do it. Where they live, they can keep, singular as far as race and culture, but they don't want any of the others of us, to be able to do that. And particularly, of course, they don't want white nations to be able to have that kind of luxury either. And that's any of them. That's not just America. That's all of them. So there's that, and that's ever present. It's gotten worse and worse. And of course, there's always the very subtle moral framework that they install. Very secular, very unbiblical. Very Darwinian, However, with this latest Avengers Infinity War, they've done something. They really, really, really pushed a theme that they've pushed in other movies, but this one, off the charts. I mean, just screaming from this movie that they're doing this. Now, I know a lot of people are asleep. I know. But I have to wonder how even these sleepy people can't see some of this stuff. I mean, for instance, I have seen some videos on people and from channels concerning the Bird Box. And I'm telling you, even sleepy people are catching what they're all about with movies like Bird Box. People like you and I, who are seeing these things, yeah, I mean, it's just a given. Anyways, so what they're pushing in that Infinity War is this idea that this Thanos character, he's misunderstood. He's the hooker with the heart of gold, you see, because yeah, even though he goes across the galaxy and indiscriminately kills half the population of planets, and I'll tell you something, being a flat earther, just watching these galactic, universal kind of things, at first I would just chuckle, and anymore I just get nauseous. I can't even process it anymore. But he goes across the galaxy and he indiscriminately murders half the population of a planet. And what you find out, he's not doing this because he's a brute. He's not doing these things because he's a psychopath, sadistic, malevolent, evil, bloodthirsty, vicious. No, that's not why he's doing it. He's doing it because on his own planet, the same thing happened, you see. He explains this to a little group of the Avengers there when they track him to his own planet. He says, once upon a time, his own planet was so beautiful, but it was like all the other planets in the universe. Too many mouths to feed and not enough resources. Too many mouths to feed, not enough resources. So, he proposed a plan on his home planet to wipe out half the population indiscriminately, and it would have gone off like gangbusters. But they didn't listen. They didn't listen to Thanos, and look, his whole planet laid in ruins. So it's now his life's mission to go to other planets, murder half the people indiscriminately, because then, as he says in the movie, now on these planets where he's done this, children don't have to wake up depressed and hungry to a new horrific nightmare of a day where there's not enough for them and they live lives in misery. And you start seeing the heart of Thanos. Thanos, he's got a heart, He loves his daughter. He loves his daughter that he throws down a huge gorge to her death. He does, crying about it. Oh, to see a man that size, or whatever he is, a purple thing that size that looks like a man cry. What a horrible thing to witness. So, you find out, snow's pretty thick out here. Four high? Sorry, folks. I'm out. There we go. So yeah, the big purple guy, he's got a heart. He's got a heart, and he's trying to do the right thing. And that's what people don't understand. People don't understand that these people in power, they've got a big responsibility, right? Just like Spider-Man, right? With great power becomes great responsibility. So this guy, he doesn't want to murder all these people. He has to. Too many mouths to feed, not enough resources. Same old story. Too many mouths to feed, not enough resources. And the thing is, now the way they end it off is that he gets all these Infinity Stones, which, by the way, these Infinity Stones came as a byproduct of the Big Bang. The Big Bang, which has no intelligence, produced these intelligent, powerful stones. So, by the end of the movie, he is able to kill enough people, murder enough people, to get these Infinity Stones. And what happens is, right at the end, when Thor thinks he's got him, and I could talk about Thor for a while too, and how he is just a further effort to keep us white people paganized. I am not in any way proud of some kind of pagan past. This is the kind of thing that Red Ice pushes. Having some kind of white pagan pride. I don't take any pride in silly Nordic legends or anything else that might have anything to do with, supposedly my culture. So anyways, Thor, he doesn't get him. And he snaps his fingers, and half the people, I'm guessing across the universe, but you mostly only see people on Earth and on his planet, half of them indiscriminately die, right? And it's a sad moment. But it's a deep, sad, profound moment for Thanos too, okay? He has this moment, this visionary moment, where he's in some kind of ethereal, dreamy, wet place with kind of a nice little pergola. And his daughter that he murdered earlier in the movie, she's there as a little girl. And she asks him what doing that cost. And he says, with such pain, holding back such pain in his voice, you know, he tells her everything. And then he's back with Thor, and all of a sudden he uses his Infinity Stone glove, beams out of there. Everyone's dying. I guess he wasn't part of his killing everybody indiscriminately plan, right? Because I mean, it's like it's his final solution, right? Right? But he's not. I guess he didn't factor him into that. Which, why not? If that's like the last thing. But he says what he wants to do, he just wants to enjoy the sunrise, knowing that even though half of everybody's been murdered, tomorrow is going to be a good day. That's all he wants, is to watch the sunrise and to know that all of his horrific, malevolent, murderous puke has done some good in the universe. And that's like the most disturbing part of it, is that they paint this guy as this tragic, misunderstood, tortured soul. And I was just disgusted. By the time the thing ended, I was disgusted. Because, now, I didn't ignore the rest of the movie. Okay? I paid attention when the wizard, who shouldn't be allowed to live, said that he saw 14 million different variations of the future. And he said they could only win in one, right? And then he just gives his time stone to Thanos to preserve the life of Charlie Chaplin. And you know that if you pay attention, you're thinking, well, he saw all the possibilities, so he knows, you know, and that's what he had to do. So in the next one, they'll at least bring the Avengers back and the Guardians of the Galaxy. And they might spare the lives of half of the people across the, space. But I don't think that message is going to go away. They planted those seeds, those pukey, useful idiot seeds with this one. And I mean, when you look at who's making it and who's produced it, who's responsible for it all, everybody knows. I don't even have to say it. I don't even have to say it anymore in any one of my videos at all. I can just avoid all my potential future strikes, I guess, from here on out. Because you guys know, and maybe not all of you, but you're educated. It's really sick what they're up to. And now here's the worst part, because of course it's all propagated by ignorance. I was talking to somebody in my my corporate church group because it is corporate church. It's a 501c3. They won't hear anything of it. And I know I call it my, but the thing is, I pretty much never go there, and I just make it to an occasional Bible study. But you know what? There's a lot of decent people there. There really is. If I could do anything to help, I would. But these stones, yeah, they're called diamonds. Yeah, they come from De Beers. But I'm talking to this one guy, and he's essentially an elder, and he's telling me, there's a problem because there's, this planet is low on resources. Just looked at him, and I said, "What are you talking about? What do you mean?" Well, yeah, but here's the thing. I didn't until just a few years ago. I knew, what everybody else knew. All it would take is desire. Well, I like to say that, but, to be honest with you, certain people are given certain gifts, like anything that I produce that is truthful and I guess we could say original, I don't really want to take credit for anyways. So, but yeah, this guy, he's just echoing what the world is saying. We're low on resources, and yeah, that scarcity is, yeah, definitely. Me too, Atso. But that's the thing. People really believe that. You know what I was just listening to on the way to the job site? I was just listening to Sencha McRae's. She did a video on the Irish, the so-called Irish potato famine. I don't know if the whole video was on that because I was driving. I couldn't check. It just rolled over from one of her other videos, which the other one was about infiltrators, a certain kind of infiltrator. It's a really good video, by the way. Really good video. She talked at length in this video about the EDL, the English Defense League. Very Tommy Robinson like organization, okay? But the thing was, when she was talking about the Irish potato famine, it was, to me, it didn't surprise me. But essentially what she was saying is the same thing happened, it's believed, in that potato famine as what happened in Russia with, in the Ukraine with Holodomor. There was nothing organic about the potato famine, and trying to say something like, well, it was a scarcity of potatoes that caused, all of this pain and this death and this suffering in Ireland. The scarcity of potatoes, when they had all kinds of crops and livestock. But, they couldn't grow potatoes. That did it. It's pretty easy to see. If you look at most famines in the last few hundred years, they were engineered. Famines are engineered. They have been for a long time. There's no scarcity of land. There's no scarcity of resources. There's no scarcity of food. And yeah, they are poisoning. They're poisoning a lot of food. They're poisoning it. Monsanto, they're poisoning food. They're poisoning the environment. That's true. But there's no scarcity of it. They want everybody to get away from growing and raising their own food because it's healthy. If you grow and raise your own food, you get closer to the land. It's a healthy occupation, and you eat pure, healthy things. And that's a good thing. I have no doubt that my lymphoma is due in part to the poisons that we take in our food. And very few people are able to afford the kinds of food that it usually takes to fight something like that. So, while at the same time, these same people are producing films like this Avengers Infinity War, where they're trying to sell some kind of very big lie that there's too little resources and too many mouths to feed, and that the guy who would murder half the population is really the misunderstood hero. At the same time, these same people are engineering the famines, are lying to everyone and saying that the resources are too scarce, there's not enough land, and that we live on a ball that only has so much space. Well, even if that were the case, even if it were the case that we lived on a globe that had a circumference of 24 to 25,000 miles, even if so, and you had two poles that were mostly ice and all that, when you consider the amount of land there is in contrast to the amount of people that there are, we could not hope to fill the land and use the resources with the amount, even if there is 7 to 8 billion, 9 billion, 20 billion, 30, 50 billion. And you know, the thing is, there have been a number of ecological scientists that have been silenced because the studies that they were conducting were showing that carbon emissions are actually very good for plant life. Typical carbon emissions, so the burning of coal, the burning of wood, things like that. When you mix in impurities to that, who knows? But I mean, do you really think the Creator was so inept that he didn't, know how to take everything that we would do, anything natural? If you heated your home with wood or coal, burn natural gas or oils or anything like that, and it creates smoke and things like that, the plants love it. And those scientists that showed plants feed off it, so a lot more plants grow. You put a lot of carbon in the air, the plants, they love it. They flourish. And they were silenced. So these same liars making these movies, they're the same liars that they're pushing these lies, Sierra Club sort of lies. Yeah, that's them. It's really sad too. I think movies and music, I think they're both really powerful mediums, and I think that somebody, a lot of people out there, creative people, could do a lot with those mediums. Make some really cool movies. As a matter of fact, another movie that was on Netflix, I think, that I decided after ignoring it for like 5-10 times, and I finally decided, all right, I'm gonna give it a little watch and see. It was a more recent version of Samson. I think it was made 3-4 years ago. I'm sorry. Look, I'll be honest. I couldn't get past the scene where they revealed what Samson looked like. So, call me all kinds of bad names. Go ahead. I don't care. I know who I am. I know who I am, and I know who you are. So I can't sit by and take any enjoyment from something I know is a total lie. That's like watching some movie that's set in space. Turns my stomach. So, I mean, that was it. I just wanted to talk about that movie and these agendas they're pushing. It was the same with the Bird Box. It did the same thing. I don't 100% trust Black Pilled. I think his name is Devin Stack, because I don't really 100% trust anybody, really. But he did a pretty good breakdown of that movie on his channel. So if you haven't seen his review of the Bird Box Black Pills, it's pretty right on the money. And that's mainly all that they're doing. And to be honest with you, I think that it's just gotten so bad and it's gotten so obvious, and so many people are seeing it as so obvious, that they completely control the reaction too. So when you hear something like, oh, people are going crazy over this Bird Box, critically, it's so successful critically, maybe if we're talking about like professional critics, because they're all part of the whole scam too, right? Can't trust it. So what a world, you know. But these evil things, we can resist. Do our part, you know. So I'll let you guys go with that. And thanks for taking the time to join me. Hope everybody, you know, has a really good day, and hopefully I'll talk to you guys again here.